Deep in space lies a theoretical anomaly. Physicists call it the Hexapuss, a black hole acting as a direct physical gateway connecting our observable universe to the sixth dimension. To understand how a dimensional gateway exists, we first look at string theory. The math behind string theory requires a universe built on 10 dimensions. We experience 4, 3 of space, 1 of time, leaving 6 extra dimensions tightly compactified, folded up so incredibly small they remain hidden from our view. The problem is, human perception is entirely locked to our native reality. If you try to map a space with 6 degrees of freedom using standard x, y, and z coordinates, the geometry violently breaks down into an unreadable mess of intersecting axes. Standard astrophysics lacks the tools to visualize this kind of dimensional overlap. To map out what's happening inside this anomaly, we have to abandon telescope data and look at something on a much, much smaller scale. We turn to the exact mathematical principles used to stop currency counterfeiters, which coincidentally powered one of the most famous mechanical drawing toys of the 1960s. By breaking down the repetitive geometry of this toy, we uncover the specific mathematical tools required to map the physics of a multidimensional black hole. The mechanical foundation of that geometry was perfected long before the 1960s. It started with machines like the geometric lathe, or Rose engine, which uses pure mathematical rotation to translate physical force into highly complex, continuous engravings. Whether it's an intricate brass lathe or a plastic spirograph gear, the kinetic motion powering the machine is identical. A fixed point on a smaller inner circle rules continuously along the inside edge of a fixed outer circle. The fixed point on the spinning inner wheel traces a continuous spiral, mathematically called a hypotrochoid. This document details the trajectory equations for a spirograph. The infinite complexity of the pattern is dictated entirely by these 2 parametric equations, charting the x and y coordinates over time, using specific dimensionless parameters. For over a century, craftspeople and security printers have applied these exact equations to engrave overlapping Viochet spirals onto high-end objects, like the face of this golden pocket watch, and onto banknotes to prevent forgery. Because the math underlying these spirals is incredibly rigid, the resulting infinite loops act as perfect cryptographic boundaries. They lock away the underlying material, making it mathematically impossible to reverse engineer by hand. Lifting those flat interlocking spirals off the watch face translates their mechanical rotation into 3-dimensional space. A rigid object moving freely in our standard 3-dimensional space possesses exactly 6 degrees of freedom, 3 ways it translates in straight lines along the coordinate axes, and 3 ways it rotates around them. Tracking all 6 of those independent movements simultaneously requires a highly specialized mathematical framework known as screw theory. This text demonstrates how screw theory approaches the problem. It takes angular and linear velocity and combines them into a single 6-dimensional mathematical object called a twist. The existence of the twist proves that 6-dimensional mathematical logic is perfectly equipped to describe and map complex overlapping physical rotations within our observable universe. When we take that 6-dimensional twist logic and apply it to the immense gravitational forces of the Hexapuss anomaly, the true nature of the black hole comes into focus. This specific anomaly does not behave like a typical gravity well that simply pulls matter down into a singularity. Instead, it functions as a massive cosmic geometric lathe. The black hole's extreme gravity effectively pulls on the hidden, compactified geometry of the 6th dimension, forcing it to physically interact with our 3-dimensional space. That interaction creates severe gravitational distortions. Because of the 6 degrees of freedom involved, the resulting forces manifest physically as 3-dimensional hypotrochoids, endlessly overlapping, inescapable spirals spinning out from the center. When mapped out, the intersecting curves of these dimensional spirals form an incredibly specific shape that closely mirrors the pupil and iris of a feline eye. This is where the anomaly gets its name. Hexa refers to the influence of the 6th dimension, and pus points to the feline, eye-like guillet patterns carved into the vacuum of space by the overlapping gravity. The singularity literally forces incomprehensible six-dimensional mathematical data to physically engrave itself onto the visible space of our three-dimensional universe. Higher dimensional physics operates completely free of chaotic noise. It is governed by a beautiful, predictable, and rigid harmony. This diagram displays uniform six polytopes, the highly complex geometric structures found in six-dimensional space. These hyperdimensional shapes map perfectly to the continuous, interlocking mathematical curves generated by the spirograph equations. This alignment proves that the universe scales its underlying mathematics flawlessly, regardless of physical size or how many dimensions are involved. The exact same parametric equations bridging the vast, unseen cosmic dimensions of a black hole are the exact ones we use to secure ink on paper or to guide the plastic gears of a children's toy. By looking closely at the interlocking math of the microscopic world, humanity has finally found the blueprint to map the infinite.